Hi, everyone. I think we'll get started. Um, my name is Wendy Hine, and I'm here today with Pamela Hinkie, and we are going to share some information with you about how to find caregivers, how to hire them. I think uh, it's possible that a lot of you have more experience with this than we do. My son is 18. I'm going to show you a picture of him in just a minute. And so if you have better ideas than us, there's going to be an interactive part, and we would love to hear it because I think all of us are kind of in this trench of this constant need to hire more caregivers. The care doesn't go away. And this constant struggle to keep caregivers. I think the pay can be a challenge. So we're certainly not over here to tell you that we have a perfect answer, just to share in a collaborative way some ideas. So super glad to be here. Love this conference. So that's my family. Um, I have three kids. My oldest daughter is in the yellow dress. She's 20 and she lives at college sometimes and she comes home a lot and she brings home a lot of laundry. Um, I have my son is 18. He's sitting in the front. His name is Liam and he has a really bright personality. He's super, super funny and a little bit sassy. He likes to grab glasses and hair. That cracks him up. We got a new puppy, and so the puppy does not have glasses, but he has lots of hair, and he's really, really tolerant about um, gentle pulling. And so Liam just laughs and laughs over that. Um, and then my little daughter is in the front. She's 13. She's in eighth grade. She's on her big eighth grade trip this week. Super exciting. She went out to Virginia with her friends, a big group of kids in a bus. Fun times. I'm glad I'm not chaperoning. So that's my family. And Liam is a person in the picture who we often are hiring caregivers for. That's Liam at school. He goes to school still. He's a senior in high school. He loves school. It's his favorite space. He has a really, really dynamic friend group. They're blowing up my phone all the time. That's his talker device in front of him. He uses an eye gaze talker, and he has a lot to say. So I'm going to hand it over to Pamela. One more thing is that I live in the Waukesha County area, so that's kind of the part of the state that to give you some framework on things I'm saying.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pamela Hinkie. Also, glad to be with everyone today. So I'm just going to click. Wendy gave a nice introduction. I also like to say Wendy and I met back in 2017. There is a program that the Board for People with Developmental Disabilities puts on called Partners in Policymaking. I don't know if anyone has heard of that or any of you are partners. Okay, yep. So that's when Wendy and I first met. Our kids are just a year apart. They're very similar in their personalities. So mine is very funny too, and yet sassy. He also likes to throw glasses off the different type of glasses off the counter full of milk or water, all sorts of things like that. So that can sometimes be problematic. But so it's just an interesting path that we have walked together. We've done this presentation. This is maybe our fourth or fifth time. So lots of times it's tailored to CLTS families. So we're honored to speak to all of you. And as Wendy said, we're just kind of here to say, like, these are some of our ideas that we have come up with and what's worked for us. And we'll love to be able to collaborate and share. So this is, yep, that's Carson in the middle. So we live in Green Bay, so Brown County. So hence, you pretty much have to be a Packer fan if you're living there, even if you're not. So, and I have a big crew there, but I have 3 children. Carson is the youngest. He's 17. He's a junior in high school. And that's my daughter to the left of him. She's wearing a yellow shirt. She recently just moved back to finish her last year of college rounds. So she's going to be a pharmacist, which has proven to be very helpful in all the management that we do for Carson. So, so she is back home. So I ditto the lots of laundry. That's her boyfriend to the left. And then my husband's right behind Carson. And then that's my son, Benji, and his girlfriend, Lauren. Benji is a junior in college, just turned 21. So actually, Lauren did too. So, of course, they were very excited to finally be 21. So, and they are all caregivers. I shouldn't say the boyfriend and girlfriend are not, but my son and daughter are both caregivers for Carson, you know, as one of our natural supports as well. And here he is. This was his prom picture last year. So, yep, yep, he's a little peanut. So, so this is why we do what we do, and we try to help others, and you know, and just make the path right for everyone a little bit easier. So starting out, I know there's a lot of data on the screen, so I'll read some of it that we have up here, but it's really nice because a lot of, this one's by the Survival Coalition. They did a really nice survey a few years ago, 2022. So we're in 2025, so probably be nice to do a survey updated again, although not much has changed. It's probably gotten a little bit worse for all of us. But basically it says in a week, 3 of 5 of us spend more than 40 hours, the equivalent of a full-time job, doing caregiver duties. So one of the things I wanted to ask in here, who of you are all caregivers in the room? So a good amount. And who of you in the room have had to hire caregivers and use caregivers? So just about everybody in the room. So you, when I talk about, yep, we know that it's a full-time job. It's pretty much 2 full-time jobs, right? 24 hours a day. So 1 out of 2 caregivers can't find anyone to hire and are providing all the care. So I know that is pretty true, I'm sure, for all of you. I know it is for our families. And then 1 out of 2 family caregivers said if a family could no longer provide care, they would not be able to remain at home. So, which is of course what we don't want to happen. So, so we want to find as many tips and tricks as we can so that everyone can stay in their natural environments at home. So it's just some other statistics. It's in the bottom corner in the purple, there's a statistic that says families are caregiving all the time. In 24 hours, 1 or 2 are providing more than 12 hours of care a day. 84% are weekend caregivers. I always give kudos to my spouse because he always says that. He's like, I feel like I'm just a full-time caregiver all the time, all weekend long. So I get it. When he gets it too. I mean, we're lucky to have family support, but when we're gone traveling for these several days, it falls back on whoever we can get for caregivers. So the interesting thing I like to mention, so Wendy and I have ebbed and flowed in our jobs. Right now, we still both work at Disability Rights Wisconsin. So Wendy is in voter advocacy and my background is human resources. So I recently, it just became too much. So this summer I put in my notice. I'm going to be done hopefully here soon. I've been training somebody, but But when we talk about 2 out of 3 caregivers have left the workforce or decreased their hours, it's so true, or 40% have completely left their jobs. I know that's true for Wendy and I. It's probably true for a lot of you. Maybe you can't find care for a loved one, so you have to readjust, quit your jobs. For us, we've ebbed and flowed. Sometimes we've job shared when we were both doing voter advocacy. So it's been interesting that way. But I feel like we've just flip flopped. So Wendy just went back, and now I'm having to step away for a while again. So again, some nice, just different data from the Survival Coalition. And then this one is from a recent data from the AARP. Today, more than 1 in 4 Americans are caregivers. So, and it can be providing care to an adult with an illness or a disability. This estimates 63 million adults in the United States are needing caregiving. So, we know that caregiving can not only be for people who need it with disabilities, but aging parents. So, I've had aging parents and a child with a disability, so feeling pretty sandwiched between both generations can be challenging as well. All right, flipping over to Wendy. I'll mention while she's handing that out. So the fun thing we like to do, because we know that, caregiving is hard and finding caregivers. So we've always made this little that we love to have people have an opportunity to walk away with a door prize, we'll call it, from our presentation. Usually we do t-shirts. This time we did bags, tote bags. So we'll do some, we have 4 this time, but I encourage you, they're kind of fun. Strong, kind, essential caregivers. Caregivers carry love. The world runs on care. And caregivers are like a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day. So we think it's fun to be able to offer something. So.
So when Pamela was talking about leaving your jobs, my career was actually teaching. I was a 1st and 2nd grade teacher for about 12 years before my son was born. I thought I would take a short time off with each of my kids and then go back, but it's 18 years later, and I tried to go back a couple times, and I just can't be reliable enough with, my son has a lot of medical appointments, so I'm sure some of you can relate. Now that my son is 18, I think we're finding too that he would like to perhaps have a job, and finding support to do that is an additional challenge. So we probably won't address any sort of job support here, but just wanted to mention that we see you, and we see that all of these hiring things. And I think some of them can be applied to more general areas. So a lot of people say it takes a village. I think we're more aware than most of people in society that we live in society for a reason, and we live in and with people for a reason, and we all care for each other. And we all, whether we're the person receiving care or the person giving care, I think we all offer something to each other. And as we live in this society, I think we want to start to think about the people who are right in our life, who can be resources, how we can recruit, just creative ways to find new people. We do all my son's hiring. He uses Iris. So we hire for respite and supportive home care. I do all of his SDPC right now. So we're going to think about who's in your village for natural supports. And this is probably something that you've done maybe without thinking about it, or maybe you've consciously done it, but I think it's an important thing to be conscientious about, really thinking about who is in your support circle that can offer support. As Pamela said, her daughter and son do some of her other son's personal his respite and things. And we have my daughter used to do some personal care for my son since she moved away for college. We haven't signed her up yet with our new fiscal agent, but we need to do that. So we're thinking about who's in your village already. Existing resources like family, friends, community resources that are right in your area. My son is still a senior in high school, so we right now still have school as a support. That's a huge deal. And I realize that once you're out of school, that goes away. So what other supports are there in your own area? And we're going to have a chance later to share with each other so that you can share with other people in this room because you might have an idea for resources that they don't. And then we're going to talk about those new connections and ideas that others in here might have. So what are some of the existing resources in your life already? Parents and other advocates, family, friends, work and volunteer options, therapy centers, school staff or program staff from the places that you go. Sometimes they're willing to, work for you as well. We've had really good luck with that. Neighbors. We have a neighbor about a block away who I had posted an ad in a neighborhood group a couple of years ago, and she contacted me, and that was super convenient because she was right nearby. And sometimes we needed help for like 20 minutes only. And obviously, you're not going to have somebody drive to your house at the drop of a hat for 20 minutes. But if she's right down the street, that's super convenient. So those are some existing resources you might already have in your life, but it's good to every once in a while think through those. And then there are sometimes community resources, again, like schools, different tutor programs. I get almost all of my caregivers from the local colleges. That was something that I didn't do a good job of when we bought our house so my son was pretty little when we bought our house. He was 5. And I didn't realize that we were moving from an area where we had 3 colleges right near our house to an area where the closest college was like a 15-minute drive. And I feel like that was something that probably isn't the best because we get so many great caregivers from colleges. The bummer about colleges is that they graduate, or like every semester they're like, oh, now I'm available on Tuesdays and Thursdays, even though I was available on Mondays and Wednesdays last time. But overall, I feel like they're the best, most invested workers that we've gotten so far. We have gotten a couple times school staff that have worked for us, and we have one that's worked for us for years. And I've heard that sometimes like program staff or if you spend a lot of time at the hospital, we have a lot of hospital staff that we know. And I've heard that some of them will work for families. So those can be really great things. YMCA people or provider centers like that might be good. I've also heard of folks that have used these different agencies like Christian Servants, Ascending Angels, Jovi. I've heard of recently some of these agencies having like specifically respite programs where they hire out respite people. I like specific to certain areas. So I've heard of like there's an overnight respite at St. Anne's on the south side of Milwaukee that they're all of the ones that I know of for that support adults are pretty specific in like we serve adults with these kind of needs. We serve adults with those kind of needs. So I think like as when we get together to share later, that might be something to be aware of. You know, if you're sharing something that's worked for you or your family or your loved one, um, just put on the post it. Well, we'll talk about it later, but put on it that, you know, if it specifically works with people with certain kinds of needs. But those are some great ideas that families have had help with finding through these agencies, or a lot of folks list things on care.com, Sitter City, Facebook groups. I use this neighborhood app that I sometimes advertise on, and I've had pretty good luck with that. Um, those are some ideas. And again, we're going to later on come back to sharing more ideas like that.
Thank you. So yeah, as Wendy said, those are all resources that we try to use. And the kind of interesting thing that has happened between Wendy and I, since I live in Green Bay, I have had a few caregivers that I have hired that have gone to college near where Wendy lives. So then I have given, I don't want to call them my caregivers, but I've given my caregivers then to Wendy, and then she uses them during the school year, and then when they come back. So sometimes it's interesting to be thinking about those connections that you might have with people even in other communities. You know, and it's just that like taking it maybe one more thought out of the box of like, oh, you know, so and so who might. So and I'm really not, I will always be asking everyone. So, you know, sometimes I'll get in a conversation with a waiter or wait staff at a restaurant, you know, who I know is maybe, you know, and they'll be telling me what they're going to school for. And then I'll be like, were you ever looking for, you know, so of course, sometimes my family rolls their eyes like, oh, here she goes again. But you know, it's constant. So you just sometimes you're always thinking about all those other opportunities that you might have to make a connection for a caregiver. So, but I would agree, a lot of ours are probably college age students, which is unfortunate because they end up leaving then. But it's kind of a system at least we have. So some other things we wanted to offer up as other places that you can look for caregivers that you might not have thought of is Wisconsin Caregivers does have a certified direct care professional program. Has anybody used that in the room or attempted to use it? So, okay. Yep. So so I'd like to put it out there because they're usually at the conference. I know they were here as well. So, but it's a collaborative program that was started between the Department of Health Services, so Wisconsin DHS, and the UW Green Bay, but it's statewide. So don't think just because it's Green Bay, it's in that area. They're just the ones who created it. And so, yep, definitely take a picture of the slides, or there's a website. But you can go out there and you can sign up to be the eligible employer. So remembering that if you're in CLTS, Iris, Family Care, you're the employer. So you sign up as, you know, for me, I would sign up, you know, my son, Carson Hinkie. So, and then you'll go through and you complete the registration process. So I am going to just put one little note out there. It's got many steps. So yes. So, as I can see, you have a couple of yeses and I would agree on that too. There are several steps. So just know that going in, and if maybe, going through the computer steps isn't your jive, have somebody who, you know, you can do it with you. So there is that, but I didn't locate anyone from the system. Did you? You didn't either. So yeah, so that's unfortunate. It's a big program and they do the training, and I think they even offer some funding to get people into their Care Direct, but we still want to give it as a resource because it is free. So, so it's something that you can certainly attempt.
If somehow it could get some momentum and people would start using it, it actually is a great idea. It's just that um it doesn't seem to have the momentum. There's a comment.
Oh, okay.
We'll bring you the mic.
And then stick with the client 6 months once you hire them. There's like a $250 stipend per person if you get somebody.
Yeah. Yep, she's exactly correct. You can go through the modules, and then if you hire somebody, there's a stipend that you can get back from the program. So, so there is an incentive with it.
If you do the training that they provide over the web as a caregiver, they'll give you $250. Then if you stick with that client for another additional 6 months, it's another $250. That's $500 in your pocket.
Oh, okay. Plus, she's saying there's a referral link, so you can give someone else the link. There's a referral link of 250. So again, I'm going to flip back to it. So definitely might be worth, maybe as Wendy was saying, this is the momentum we need to get it going. I do think they started it maybe about 2 years ago. So, it'd be nice if, again, they do the professional training. So, so there's definitely a benefit with that. Yes.
To sign up as an employer on there, are there like professionals who are seeking jobs posted on there, or do you post ads on there? How does that?
Yeah. So the question was to sign up as an employer. Are there people seeking jobs? Yes. So for us, we went out there. Carson was the employer. I created my job ad, posted it out there, and then people could apply to my job. That's the same experience you had. Yep. So unfortunately, nobody applied to my job. That's what you had. Nobody applied to your job. So, so there is that. But so that's one side of the site, and then the other side, as this gentleman, thank you for saying that. There is that direct care. So they can actually get training through it, become certified care professionals, and be placed. And then you have these additional payouts that you receive with it. So it has some really robust pieces to the site. But again, just knowing it has a little bit of, it's a little bit burdensome to get through it. So, but if you can have somebody help you with it, I think the potential's there. I know the person who runs it at UWGB, so every once in a while I call her and give some feedback. So I'll probably do that again and be saying, hey, we were doing a presentation. How can we get some momentum for your program? Yep, bless you. Okay, so another option, I don't know if anyone's ever gone out and searched on this. So it's the Respite Care Association of Wisconsin. Has anybody ever gone out there and looked for respite care? Bless you. It is another option that you can go out and look at. So it's they have a search tool, so you can just go to the Respite Care of Wisconsin, and I'll just click to the next. And then there's a section where it says, I need respite care. You can search for a provider, or there's actually free training programs out there as well. So that's another kind of a cool program that I've gone to. And then it has you put in your zip code area, and then it'll bring up a list of respite providers that are registered. So, and then you reach out to them. They either have a phone number or an email. So I usually draft a little email, and then I'll reach out to them saying, hey, got your name off of the Respite Care Association of Wisconsin. Are you looking for respite care? So again, it's another free tool. So we like to promote anything free so that it's, a possibility. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. So it's just, it's respitecarewi.org. So RESPITE, and then care, CAREWI.org. So again, just another option. So Okay, and then again, this is just a screenshot from there. And if you want to sign up as a respite care provider, this is where you could do it as well. So just another piece. Okay, so as Wendy mentioned, we are going to be doing, oh, sure. Yep. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about the grants. Oh, yeah, thank you. I'll see if I got it here. Wendy said she just found something. Recently that they do offer some grants through the respite care as well. So these would be grants for if you aren't able, is it only for children?
They have grants for additional respite. So if you're not, if your programming isn't, robust enough to meet meet your needs. And I don't know all the rules around that, but I do know that I was at a meeting where someone from the Respite Care Association of Wisconsin was, and they were talking about how a lot of folks can't get to things like the caregivers can't do things like cleaning their house or maintenance or lawn maintenance, and there's no funding for that. And so actually the Respite Care Association of Wisconsin folks mentioned that their grants actually can cover having someone come and do your yard work or shovel your snow or deep cleaning or things like that, and that you can actually apply for and get those grants every 6 months. So that's something to keep on your radar as a potential funding item.
And I know they helped provide when we needed some respite care for my mother when she was 91. They helped provide a grant for that too. So, oh, sure. So it is called respitecarewi.org. I'll spell it again. So it's RESPITE and then care, CAREWI.org. TE and then CARE, care, and then the abbreviation for Wisconsin, WI.org. Yeah. So she said that they have some grants that also help with home modifications, safety equipment, vehicle modifications, so sensory items. Yeah. So it's another place to go looking for opportunities. She was mentioning if you're case manager, if you're having a few struggles with getting those things covered, you could go there for grants. They were really great to work with. So when I worked with them for the respite, when I needed it for my mother. So, okay. Yes, sorry.
So who does the background checks? The employer, or is it the respite care?
Okay, so the question is who does the background checks? So we are going to get to that in just a couple minutes. So when we get to our hiring piece, so we will talk about that. So we're just going to table that one for a moment. So, okay, as Wendy mentioned, one of the things that we like to do, because we all have knowledge in the room, right? So we provided you with examples of where, items that we go and look for, like, so existing resources. So maybe those were, if we go, back to those slides that talked about, family members. As I mentioned, I have family members, or maybe you have a neighbor, that's providing respite. And then we talked about community resources that we have, such as, maybe you go to the colleges, or you try to get, respite care providers from high schools or community centers. And then we showed you some of the new connections that we hear about here and there. So what we're going to do is we have 3 pieces of paper. So existing resources, community resources, and new ideas. So maybe as you were sitting there, you're like, oh, they haven't thought of this or that. So we're just going to take, maybe 5 to 7 minutes to move about the room. There's some Post-it notes that Wendy's passing out. So you can put new ideas, or we can come get them for you and we'll put them on the board. Again, if you're in a certain county, if you wouldn't mind writing that county down. So, maybe you're in Dane County and you know of us something that we didn't mention. We just like to use it as a quick little share time, because we always find about a new provider that maybe we weren't aware of. So we're just going to do that for the next few minutes, and then we'll do a quick share out about those. And while we're doing that, we're going to also draw for a bag. And I put back up on the screen just for reference. So these were some of the existing resources we talked about: family and friends, volunteer options, therapy centers, neighbors, school staff, and then some of the community resources. Okay, while we're finishing up, I'm going to read the ticket that Wendy drew. So, and if anyone needs assistance, Wendy is happy to help. She is walking around. It's 0219746. Oh, yay. So we have these bags up front. So did you know which one you would like? So or you want to, I'll bring them to you.
I think we weren't sure sometimes which things fit in which category, and that doesn't matter a whole lot. But so somebody here said that Iris really encourages you to ask your friends if they might be interested, friends and family. My son, that's been a new thing since my son's been an adult, is that some of his friends from his school years, have worked for us. So that's, or for him. And so that's been kind of a cool transition, I think, for us. He really, actually, it's fun for him to like be with someone that's not middle-aged. So no offense to those of us who are, but like he's 18, and so he really likes to hang out with other young adults. Somebody put next door. I think that's in the Milwaukee area, right? Oh, it's in Oshkosh. Okay. Oh, it's an app. Oh, the Nextdoor app. I know the Nextdoor app. It's like at whatever neighborhood you're in. Yes. Okay, so that's the group that I advertise on too. Yeah, that works great. Really, really good. It's a little green house right on your phone. Yeah. Okay. The St. Croix County ADRC. I do think ADRCs are a really great place to ask questions and find resources. So that's a great help. Somebody mentioned that they get caregivers straight through My Choice. Sometimes My Choice hires their caregivers. So that's an option. I think that finding agencies that can do some of the work for you is really, really helpful. So, and somebody was going to write down some of those for us. The UW Job Board is really helpful. That would be Dane County area, but I think a lot of the colleges and universities do have job boards. Some of the ones that I was using a lot, maybe they're because they're private colleges, I'm not sure, but they stopped having job boards because of maybe liability or something. And Handshake is through the U system? Handshake? Okay, that's helpful. So Pamela said that the handshake coordinates with that Wisconsin caregiver website. So that's good to know. So handshake is what it's called. Um, I've also found that if I can find a professor within, for us, the nursing staff or the pre-nursing staff work the best because my son has a lot of medical care, or they're not technically medical cares, but they're medical-ish. Um, like the, if I can find a professor that I can connect with, a lot of times she'll send me students each semester who might be interested. So that's really helpful. This one says caregiver registry LKC. I don't know what LKC means. There are some FMSs that have caregiver registries, so that can be helpful. Thank you. Oh, Lori Knapp Choice. I see. Okay. Excellent. This one says for agencies, ask your case manager. In Dane County, that here's a list. Duly respite for kids. Dulce, sorry. Do you want to tell us? So I don't kill all the names here.
I don't remember what else. Dulce is center-based respite. Padres y Hijos en Acción, they're here. Both of those are bilingual and have Spanish speakers. Mission Respite has had a lot of staff lately, and I think they do both adults and kids. I work in CLTS, so I mostly know kids, but I think a lot of these do both. Geo's Garden is center-based and is only for kids. Endearment Unlimited, I know they do adults. And then UCP, which I know they're statewide too. So that's a list.
Thank you so much. Down here, I had mentioned St. Anne's in Milwaukee on the south side. They do overnight respite. Although they don't take anyone who needs any nurse delegated cares. So that would be no diabetes care, no G tubes, things like that. And that's for adults only. ARIA is overnight respite for adults only. Easter Seals Camp, I think, are for kids, I believe, but I don't actually know that. Maybe they have a young adult one. Okay, so that can be a good thing. I believe they're a little bit less medical support, but I don't know. Hang on, someone has a comment here, I think, right? Do you?
I know. I do. Just saying. I know. Yeah, I do some summer camp is through Easter Seals at Wabeek, but I don't know if there are any caregivers that have done an outside camp that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. Thank you. I think the Easter Seals has a pretty wide variety, so it's something to maybe look into if that's interesting for you. And I think it's a fairly statewide as well. This says new ideas, identity-based Facebook groups. For example, like Queer Exchange. And that's, I think, a great suggestion because I just feel like Facebook groups are a great way to connect with people who are like-minded and how much all of you know what you give up in privacy to have people coming into your home. My parents are just approaching the age where they need some help at the home. And I was trying to explain to my mom that there's going to be some costs to their privacy and like just having people in your space, going through your things. So I think it's really important that those people, sometimes we've had people who just like jive with our family life. They're just so easy to have around. And then of course, sometimes it's just awkward. So I think those Facebook groups that are where you can connect with like-minded people are great. Indeed.com is free. We love the free resources. So I actually didn't know that was free. So good to know. Like the
Yeah, with Indeed, if you do the free one, make sure you do the background check before you even pull anybody in for an interview.
okay
Yeah.
before. Oh. Okay. That's great advice. Thank you. She said that people are required to do a certain amount of applications for certain things. So be aware of that on Indeed. So we're going to kind of shift from ideas for a minute and talk about where we're how we're hiring. So there's this applies to CLTS, it applies to Iris, and it applies to family care. I know if you have like the self-directed kind of family care, and I'm not super clear on how it works if you're just in straight family care. I thought that the straight family care that they provide all the people for you. So I can't quite speak to that part, but in the other programs, there are you have your fiscal agency. They help you do your hire, or they help you get your person signed up, your worker signed up to be paid through you. And the other way to do it is some of the places that we listed are agencies where they kind of find the people for you. But those people still then get paid through your funding source. We're really talking about people that you're going to search for, you're going to hire, and then your fiscal agency they'll get signed up with your fiscal agency. That's what we're really speaking to now when we're talking about hiring.
Okay, as Wendy said, we're talking about when you're doing your own hiring and looking for your own people, which I think is the majority of the room here. So you are going to want to write some sort of caregiver job ad. So some of the things you should be thinking about is what information would you like to share? What do you want to keep private? Consider what your public facing is going to be. So you want it to be just enough info to engage interest. But we always talk about, not oversharing. And what I always do is I do a shorter posting for what's public facing if I'm doing a care.com or something like that. And then when they come to the house to interview, if I think it's going to be somebody that is, going to be a possibility, then I give them a longer posting, which has more of the specific details in it, which would be the items that I wouldn't want to necessarily share in a public facing ad. So, kind of all the very specific things that Carson would need for his cares. And then you want to think about where you're going to post the ad. So we go through and we talk a little bit about what to put in a caregiver ad. So, and having a short version and a long version, we find very helpful. That's what I do. I come from an HR background, as you heard me say. So I sometimes think like something short to gauge people's interest. They'll know right away, like, yeah, that maybe sounds like something for me, or you know what, yeah, that's maybe not for me. You can kind of figure that out really quickly. But things that you want to include is obviously your general location. So are you in a city or a suburb or a town, a place like, Wendy's in Milwaukee, they would want to know, is she in Oak Creek or is she in Menominee Falls, because that will obviously depend on driving. Some people are particular about knowing the gender of who they're caring for. Some people are specific about knowing the age. So, and that you don't have to necessarily say like, oh, I'm looking for, care for a 47-year-old, you can just you could generalize if you felt that that was specific that you needed that. Is it in-home care, or is the care going to happen at a different location, or is it multiple kinds of things? So knowing that they might need to drive between locations. And then a general idea of what is needed. So again, if is it part-time, is it before or after maybe a school or a day program or work or a job, and then, or is it on, you know, nights or weekends or through the middle of the night? So, and then also just if there would be mobility or communication things that you would want somebody to know, so that you think would be helpful to them as they're looking at an ad. So again, kind of just looking through the short version, like what does it look like? What do you need to do? This one obviously is still a little bit more tailored to a youth one, but, you know, are you reading books, going for walks, you know, obviously whatever it would be for you specifically. So if there's a lifting requirement, I always think that that's important to be in there, because you wouldn't want to have, you know, somebody apply who, you know, has already had an injured back and can't, you know, isn't able to do that piece of the job. You know, talking about if there are bathroom or continence kinds of, you know, cares. Did they need prior experience? Are you willing to train? This when we talk about other children or animals, it can be other people in the house. I always like to reference, we have a small dog. You know, she's super friendly, but, you know, she's not for everyone. So, you know, and then if what the pay is going to be. So this one is just, this one's from a few years ago. Again, it's tailored to when I have it for Carson. So I've used care.com. Again, that is the bad thing about care.com is it's not a free resource. So that's the only unfortunate part. However, some counties, CLTS is covering it. I would think you could use your family care potentially or IRIS to help cover the cost of an ad on care.com. We've had some good success with care.com. So, and now they've tailored it to have where you can pick more categories when you're actually posting a job. So on care.com. But again, this one's just kind of reading, like, when we were talking about, you know, special needs kiddo, I just give a little bit of happy, laid back, you know, hours are flexible, just looking for respite, not mobile on his own, nonverbal, would need to pivot transfer, can do some assisted walking, 85 pounds, you know, full assistance with eating, regular changing as he's incontinent, prior experience caring for a child or adult with disabilities, compassionate personality, CNA would be helpful but not required, willing to train. Family has a small dog, Boston Terrier, that's very friendly, non-shedding. So just enough to kind of, you know, pique somebody's interest and then they might see something in there that says, oh, it's not for me, or yeah, that's great, that's for me. So again, this is on just care.com. This is, again, from a couple of years ago. Has anybody used care.com? So a few people. Okay, a few people. So yeah, you know, again, the downfall is it's pricey. So, and the other thing that happens with it is you sign up for a subscription, and if you forget to, you know, cancel your subscription, it just auto renews. So, and it's monthly. So there's those two little, you know, points that I want to make. But again, and then when it, in this particular category, I could put a teen with developmental delays, but you can choose all these things. I could choose, you know, cognitive disabilities, developmental disabilities, mobility challenges, speech delay, and then making sure people have their own transportation. If I want them to be CPR trained, a non-smoker, meal prep, light housekeeping, you know, so it lets you pick a lot of things that people really know exactly all the detail. So there's that. Again, a longer version In the longer version, I just take it to the next step. So my longer version is about a page and a half that I give people on site once they come and I've interviewed them and I think like, yeah, this is an then I give it to them and I say, take this with you, look it over, and then again, let me know if this is something for you. But in there, you would put specific, more specifics about, like this one, I'm talking about meds, more personal information. If they need to do showering, those kinds of things, I put that in there. I talk more about the pay and how it will work because I'm on CLTS yet. Wendy's on IRIS. So I put, how that will work, that we use a fiscal agent. And again, just kind of covering all of those items if they need to have a driver's license, some of those items. So over to Wendy. I know that was fast, and you can at any point reach back out to us. We'd love to send you some information too.
Yeah, we're going to run out of time, so we're kind of speeding. So where to post your job ad? We talked about some resources earlier. We often, again, I mentioned to you that I sometimes try to connect with these professors, and some of them are good for like a few years. Like I get a 5-year chunk of sending them my ads. And just reach out to ask if you can email, drop off, text your job ad. I've seen tons of job ads on Facebook and Facebook groups. There's a Wisconsin caregiver group. I have not had luck with that, but it exists. But I like to have my ads in a lot of formats so that I can do all the things because I feel like I need a lot of. It takes a lot. So I found that as my son got older, it got harder. Childcare is, childcare is just a little bit different and is a different kind of, I don't know, different people are willing and want to do the work. So also my son requires a total Hoyer lift. He doesn't bear weight. So and he has some medical things that have to be done. So those are things that I like to be really upfront with people at first about because for some people, there are certain things that just they're not comfortable with. So, but having it in lots of different formats is really important. We try to, like, since we know we're going to have to advertise it in a lot of places, we try to utilize all the free things if we can. Care.com does charge, and Pamela mentioned the difficulties of that with you. So for interviewing, I know some of you, I personally know you, and I know that you do like open interviews sometimes. That can be a thing. I think a lot about location. I usually have people come to our house, but not always. Sometimes it's less, it just sort of depends on what's going on in our life. Sometimes I've met them at coffee shops. I have met people actually in a room at school before. So those are things to think about. I think the physical setting can have an effect on people, just how the relationship goes. The vulnerability of having someone come into your house sometimes doesn't work for people. So I think thinking about the location is important. When I interview, I ask people a lot of times, like, why do they want to work with my son? Have they had experience working with anyone with disabilities? I talk to them about their personal values and goals because they're going to be in my house. I have other kids. When my kids were little, I talked to them a lot about their experience with children overall. Now I want to know about, what things do they know about dignity and about personal autonomy and also usually I like to have my son be part of it. My son is not able to, usually he's like done when school is done. So he has a talker And sometimes I've asked him and he like would like to have a question or two to ask the person. And sometimes he's just like done. But I would like him to be present and I would like to see how the care worker interacts with him and how he responds to them and how he feels about them. And I think that looks different for every individual receiving care and their desire, but I'm pretty sure none of us want to be cared for by someone who makes us uncomfortable. So I think in thinking about that, that's super important. I think if you were here, and I don't think any of you are here caring for little kids or something, so I won't really speak to that, but because that can be a different situation, you know. But I think, you know, we all want somebody who's makes us comfortable, who can fit into our life, because as we talked about before, it's kind of invasive to share your space, your home, your safe place with these people.
We do have a really great list of questions and reference questions, but that was on me. I did not bring them. So if you would like them, I would be happy. Just come up and you can give me your email and I'll send them to you. But obviously, interviewing is different for each person. So I second what Wendy said. We have our child present. So if you're interviewing for yourself, you need to feel comfortable too. And I think you can kind of get that feeling. You know, I always tell people use that sixth sense and see how you feel about that person. Are they engaging with you? You know, you'll kind of get that feeling. So the other important thing is do reference checks. So please do reference checks. So again, I have a great list, but I tell people at a minimum, think about the who, what, where, when, why. So even when you call a reference, ask for references and then just think about those general, like who are they working for? What were they doing? When were they working? Tell me something, that you thought was really positive about what they did. Tell me something that they improved upon while they were working with you. So it's really important just to take, I know sometimes it's like you're thinking, oh, I just need somebody, but please, take that extra step and just make sure, as Wendy said, these people are in your homes as well. And we, like to think the best of everyone. I certainly do, but, it's important to do that. So, okay. So Wendy has this really cool, and I'm going to skip ahead. It's called the Care Binder that she has created for her son, but I suggest it also for anybody. So, adults as well. So it's got everything that you might need to know about, caring for yourself in case something would happen, like emergency contacts, like who to call, where the meds are. It has, we try to keep all of the hiring documents in it, pay codes if somebody needs to look up a pay code, signing in or out if they don't have an app to sign in and out, keep a paper sheet. That's what we do. Because then when we need to go back to approve it, we can't remember. I mean, like I can hardly remember, what happened yesterday. So it's nice to be able to look back to see who was caring, for you and what time they were in and out. And then there's the whole client side. So just talking about, again, this one is a little more tailored to, when he was a son, when he's a child, but think about it for all of your things that you have. If they need to take you somewhere in your car, how the car, where the keys normally, or where's the insurance card and something happens. So, and then these are just samples. I kind of keep these record keeping paper copies. So people just sign in their times and sign out. And again, same thing with a timesheet. So everyone does it differently. So, but I'm going to skip to Wendy and she can kind of show you the binder, but make it yours, make it your own, and make it something that people can reference, for doing care.
So we fill in all the gaps for my son's care still. And so we need to know what people do with him. And there's not always a ton of overlap, or sometimes I'm busy when the people come and go. So we just have a wipe off sheet on the front where they write down certain things. I need to know what time he has a lot of seizures. I need to know what time he has seizures. Need to know what time he had meds, if anything was off, like if they gave it late or whatever. I need to know all those things. So they write that down here and we wipe it off every day. And then inside, I would say a lot of it's pretty common, but there are certain, on the very first page, just certain like family home culture things that I learned over the years to write down, like things we do and don't do in our house, because things that I just thought were common knowledge just aren't. And so if I write it down, then people know, like, like if Liam's asleep and there's no laundry and no food prep and things like that to do, then it's okay to be on your phone. Or if you're getting and it really, if something's going on, certainly, obviously you need your phone. But like if actually you should be doing something with Liam, then probably don't be playing Tetris or whatever. So like that's on there, things like that. So really common knowledge stuff, but now it's in writing, and so we've all seen it. But like then there's all the emergency stuff, as Pamela mentioned. I have copies of his insurance cards in here. I have like how to pack an outing bag, exactly what to put in it, how to connect his wheelchair with diagrams, how to change our thermostat, all things like that. So super. Again, a lot of it is like the stuff that I do every day and I know by heart, or you might know, like it's common knowledge, but like we've just learned over the years, and you probably know better than I do, that nothing is common knowledge. So just write it down, and it changes. It's constantly changing. I have slide in pages so that I can change them all the time. And we just keep that thing out and we beat up the binder, and sometimes, yeah, it's a working document. We keep all the passes in there. So like our family has museum passes and Wisconsin Historical Society passes and all the passes. And we keep them all in there so that caregivers, like if Liam wants to go somewhere or go with a friend or whatever, it's there. So that's our binder. It's worked well for our family. And so that's, we hope that maybe we've given you something that's helpful or thought-provoking, that we've been able to share some good tips with each other. And we're going to close out by giving away the rest of the bags here. So do you want to read the numbers, Pamela, or should I? Okay, so this one is 0219740. Back here.
If anyone has a question.
Oh, yeah. We'll do questions right after this. We have 0219748. And should we do one more? The last one. 02797. Sorry, they were 97. I think I read the last one backwards. So the last one was 48 were the last two numbers. And this one, the last two numbers are 29. Does anyone have thoughts they want to share with others, questions? Anything? I can bring you the microphone.
I can share verbally when people talk about common sense things that you think everybody should know. I had somebody ask how to use a ruler.
I don't know. People are, right? Oh man. I feel like you probably each have at least a few stories.
Yeah, I think Wendy said it best when you think that people know things, but they actually just they don't. And I think about it. I sometimes when we're using maybe like younger college students, maybe they just haven't been exposed to some of the things. So or some of our high school students. So it's important, or maybe they're new to taking care of people with disabilities and they just haven't. So just remember, like, I always feel like if you just do it and it's coming from a good place of kindness and you're saying like, this is how you do this is how you do this, then, I don't feel like it's ever taken in a improper way where you're explaining, where something's at or how to make it. But my care binder is still a work in progress. I think I've said that now. Well, this is if it's our 5th presentation, so I really just got to get on it. But I think it's really something helpful to have for everyone. And again, if you need anything that we've talked about, we're happy to send the slides or any of those extra, questions or resources too. We would send that. But thank you all for coming today. So we appreciate it.